Hello, hockey fans! Welcome back into the neutral zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Last week, it was the Eastern Conference. This week, it's the West, the Central Division, and the Pacific Division. We had the bottom feeders of the entire NHL on this side, plus we had a couple of the strongest teams in all of hockey here a season ago. Will those extremes continue this season, or are we going to see a little bit more in the middle? Or maybe we'll just see nothing but strength. I doubt very highly that we're going to see all weakness come out of this conference. We've also got real, actual, honest-to-goodness NHL games going on today. We've had one finish, one is going on right now, and one more is yet on the horizon tonight. We will have scores to break down and games to talk about with you. All that plus more coming up right now on the Neutral Zone. And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome on into the latest edition of the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Glad that you are here with us tonight. I am Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis will be along with us here in just a little bit. A lot to go through with you tonight. Of course, we've got the Western Conference to preview after we did the Eastern Conference last week. The Western Conference, a little more near and dear to my heart, with the Chicago Blackhawks residing, of course, in the Central Division, and just good hockey all around. And we've got real, actual hockey games and scores to break down and bring to you from tonight, including the banner raising ceremony down in Sunshine, Florida, include the Florida Panthers. They are in a hurry to get out of Dodge before the hurricane comes in. So we will be breaking that down. Lots to get through in the show here for you tonight. But before we go much further, we need to take a quick word from our sponsors here on the network. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after these quick messages. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis will be along with us here in a little bit. He's wrapping some things up as he's getting ready to go here for the show tonight. And so, you know, this show, you heard how IE Sports Radio is available on all the social media platforms. You can follow along on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. This show is available for you as well on social media. Follow us on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone. Now that the regular season is underway, I will be much more active on that account. During the summer, I take some time away. Not that I'm not paying attention to things that are going on in the hockey world, but you've got kids, you've got jobs, you've got other shows. It's like there's only so much time I can spend on social media. So I'm a little light in the summertime on the account, but now that we are into the fall and the winter is just about upon us, I will be much more active on that account. So follow along on IESR Neutral Zone on Twitter. I'm always active and available at Adam_Karnick on Twitter. So you can always follow along with me there as I rant and rave about all kinds of different things, sports, lots of Chicago stuff, but national stuff as well, even some international stuff from time to time. So you can always find me there and follow along there. Zach is also on Twitter at The Puplis. You can follow along with him there as well. So we are available for you on social media. Thank you to everybody tuning in and watching as well as listening live here tonight on Tuesday night. Thank you to everybody that tunes in. If you're not able to tune, if you know of somebody though that isn't able to tune in on Tuesday nights but would enjoy it, again, IE Sports Radio, this episode is available in a podcast form anywhere you find your podcast: Spotify, Google Playlists, Amazon, Castbox, Audible, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser. Anywhere you find your podcast, just search IE Sports Radio Neutral Zone and you will find the show. So if you've got a hockey fan that you know of that just isn't able to tune in on Tuesday nights to watch live, let them know it is available in podcast form. Or, of course, you can watch the replay on YouTube as well. It's always available there. Well, since we've got actual honest to a lot of tonight is going to be previewing the Western Conference, both the Central Divisions and the Pacific Divisions. But since the regular season is officially underway, we had the International Series over the weekend, a couple of games, but then we also have live games tonight. We can go ahead and have our usual start, how we normally kick off this show during the regular season with what's on the docket tonight. What are the scores? What is the situation tonight? Only 3 games on the docket in total. We've got one that is finished, one that is going on, and then one that will be starting shortly after we wrap up. So a light docket tonight, but still good stuff overall. We had St. Louis take on Seattle earlier this afternoon. It was 1:30 Seattle time out west that they dropped the puck there at Climate Change Arena. Seattle got off to a good start, 2-0 in the game. Got the first 2 goals, courtesy of Dunn and Tolvanen. However, that 2-goal lead would not hold up as Kriu and Broberg then scored 3 goals in rapid succession to close out the second period. That would be enough as St. Louis would hold on to win 3-2. Jordan Binnington got off to a great start tonight. We're going to be talking about Mr. Binnington in a little bit when we preview the Central Division here shortly. If the Blues can get some more consistent scoring and Binnington is able to continue his high stop percentage ways like he did last season, we could see some great stuff from St. Louis. Well, that worked here in the opening as they started off the season. 30 saves for Binnington on the afternoon, including all 4, only faced 4 shots in the third period, but that was enough to hold on and get the job done as St. Louis wins its first game 3-2. And then you heard me talk about it a little bit in the open there. The Florida Panthers had their banner raising ceremony tonight. Those are always exciting nights. Those are always fun nights. They can be a little bit of a letdown on the ice sometimes, though. That was not the case tonight, as the Florida Panthers got off to a strong start, scoring 4 times in the opening frame, including 2 from Sam Bennett to lead 4-1 at the end of 1. At the end of 2 right now, it is 5-2. Florida on top of the Bruins. Now, McAvoy did score on a wrister relatively late in the second period, and then Boston is on a power play right now in the second intermission. So when they come back to start the third period with a fresh sheet of ice, the Bruins will have 40 seconds of a power play to go through before they are back to even ice. So that could be an opportunity for Boston to get back in it a little bit. But at the same time, Bobrovsky has been sharp to this point, 15 stops on 17 shots. And the Panthers, 5 goals on 25 shots, including 17 in the opening period. My goodness, I'm just taking a quick look at the stat sheet here. 29 shots on net in the first period. That is up and down hockey going on there. My goodness. Everybody was ready for that intermission by the end of that one. But right now, Florida in the middle of the second intermission, the Panthers on top 5-2 in that game. That'll probably go final while we are on the show, while we are yet doing the show tonight. So we'll keep you updated and abreast of everything going on there. And then finally, a game that, all right, is scheduled to start as soon as we're off the air. But let's face it, it's everything operates on hockey time. It'll probably start quarter past the hour, 20 past the hour once we're done with the show tonight. Utah Hockey Club. I don't like the name. I don't like the name. I will not like the name. I'm not going to use that name as we get going into this season. I will explain that a little bit here as we get into our Central Division preview and breakdown. But Utah officially gets underway tonight. Had some preseason hockey early on, but the Utah Hockey Club will officially make its debut tonight, hosting Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. So a Central Division matchup, a Central Division tilt to start the season for Utah in Delta Center. I just actually, as we were getting started with the show, I saw a snapshot from one of the Blackhawks beat writers pointing out the view from the end of the 300 section there in Delta. Whoa, you can tell that arena was built with basketball in mind, not hockey in mind. You can understand why there's going to be some needed adjustments made to that schedule. I'll tweet out the picture here in a break. You can't see either goal from the top of the 300 section. The near side goal is completely blocked off. You cannot see it one bit. You are entirely reliant upon the fans in front of you to know if the puck went in, or you just have to watch the game on the video board. But the video board even blocks the far side goal as well. You can see the goal line, but you really can't see the net at all or see anything from that. So they're going to need to make some adjustments on that. You know, there's going to be some improvements that'll need to be made, but hockey has officially come to Utah, and they will drop the puck here probably about an hour from now tonight. So that is coming down the line. I'll tell you what, let's actually take a quick little break. And then when we come back, we will break down the Central Division in its entirety here. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back with the Central Division preview right after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, die-hard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick here with you. Zach Puplis will be along with us here in a little bit, but wanted to start off the show today. This is where we've got Jen B is being so nice and producing the show for us tonight, just like she did last week. Well, we're going to make her earn her keep again tonight, flying through all these divisions. Let's start things off with the Central Division, shall we? And we're going to start with what is officially the newest team in the Central Division, the Utah Hockey Club. First of all, I cannot stand the name. Pick something, anything, but hockey club. It's just a cop out. It's just a cop out. So I don't like it. The thing is, they have the perfect name right there too. The Yeti. That would be the perfect name for a snow-covered mountainous region city like Salt Lake to be the Utah Yeti. So from here out until they actually come up with a real name, I think I'm just going to be referring to them as the Yeti from here out all during this season. It's either that or I'm just going to absentmindedly still call them the Arizona Coyotes. So in other words, I just don't want to be the hockey club, just not the hockey club. Well, as for the club itself, as they get ready to officially get started here tonight, here in a little less than an hour from now, they'll be dropping the puck there at Delta Center. Obviously, lots of excitement and lots of good vibes moving from Phoenix to Utah. There will certainly be energy in the building tonight. There will certainly be excitement there with Utah. I don't necessarily know how much that's going to actually add to the season as a whole. This was still a team that a season ago only managed 77 points in the standings. You know, they were 36, 41, and 5 a season ago, and they didn't add a whole lot of significance to the club. You've got Mikhail Sergachev, John Marino, Ian Cole, and Kevin Stenlund coming in, but it's still it's still going to be an uphill climb. This is still a team that is not great, is probably a couple of seasons away yet from really competing. So while the new digs will be nice and having the gigantic arena to play in, you know, you go from playing in literally a college arena to now playing in a barn as far as hockey is concerned, one of the bigger arenas in the NHL. It's going to be a different atmosphere. It's going to be fresh and new and exciting. I don't know that it's necessarily going to turn into huge results right away out of the gate, though, for Utah. From there, we'll go to a team that is very near and dear to my heart, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, of course, oh, excuse me, a very rough season a year ago. 23, 53, and 6 overall, 8th place in the Central Division, just 52 points overall. You had Connor Bedard. You didn't have a whole lot else last season. I mean, if Bedard wasn't on the ice, it was very easy to just turn away. It was really easy to just turn away. But the Blackhawks were very active and busy this offseason, bringing back a familiar face in Teuvo Teravainen, coming over from the Hurricanes. Tyler Bertuzzi comes over. A new backup goalie in Laurent Brossoit, who is a massive upgrade at the backup goalie position. The Blackhawks behind Peter Mrazek had an excellent season last year overall. However, Soderblom, their backup goalie, really struggled. Soderblom is starting off the season as the backup goalie, while Brossoit finishes off recovery from an off-season procedure. But hopefully by November, Brossoit is back and with the team. The Blackhawks are, it's going to be interesting to, they're first of all, they're going to be so much better to watch. They are going to have actual legitimate NHL players on the ice along with Connor Bedard. You know, Nick Foligno is now officially the captain of the organization. A terrific move there by the Blackhawks. And you, with Teravainen and Bertuzzi and some other moves, having Tyler Hall return from injury, from missing effectively all of last season, the Blackhawks should be better. Will they be good enough to sneak into a wild card spot? Maybe. I think that's a very high ceiling for them. I think realistically, they're probably a season away yet from really vying for a playoff spot, but they will certainly be more competitive than they were a season ago. And that's really gonna be a huge help for the Blackhawks overall. Next, let's talk about the St. Louis Blues next, shall we? The Blues a season ago, 43, 33, and 6, 92 points overall. Overall, a very strong and solid showing. Jordan Binnington was outstanding in net for the Blues all season long last year. The Blues, it feels like St. Louis has a lot of depth pieces, and they added to that this offseason, adding Ryan Suter and Pierre-Olivier Joseph to the roster. Philip Broberg, Dylan Holloway come over as well. They've got a lot of solid depth. The Blues had 6 different players score 20 goals a season ago. What it feels like to me that the Blues are missing at this point is really just a top of the roster star, somebody that you just absolutely know you can turn to when it's those pivotal moments and you need somebody to step up and you need somebody to produce for you in a big way, whether that's with a late goal or drawing a penalty or making a great defensive steal or stop of some kind. It just feels like nothing against Jordan Binnington. I when I say defensively, I shouldn't mean that. I shouldn't say that in a way that would imply Binnington needs to step up more. I think he's a terrific goalie, an excellent netminder for the Blues. I think they need a skater to step up for them and really be that guy to turn into and be the star for the team. I think they're lacking that a little bit right now, and that could be an issue for the Blues. I know there's a lot of people that are down on St. Louis heading into this season, and I think that's a primary reason why, that you're just in need of somebody to step up and be that 1A guy, so that everybody else can kind of fall into place and fall in line for the Blues there. Next, let's talk about the Minnesota Wild. The Wild, a season ago, they finished in 6th place in the Central. They were 39, 34, and 9, 87 points overall. A winning record, more points than games. So that's a winning record in hockey terms, but it's still not great. And they didn't do a whole lot to change that for this team. Yakov Trenin comes in a 4-year deal. They also brought in Jacob Lauko and Grayman Clark. But this was, it was very, very quiet for Minnesota. And this is a team that it just feels like year in and year out has gotten older and older each year without doing anything to try to fix it. And it feels like things are slipping away from them. They still have Marc-Andre Fleury. They still, and you know that he's always worth the price of admission. He's a fun when he's on, he can still be one of the better goalies in the NHL. And he's just a fun guy to have on the team, as like we saw last week, where he had the night off in a preseason game. So he decided to go undercover and join the ice crew, shoveling the ice shavings off of the ice for everybody, donning a fake mustache, glasses, and a hat to see who he could get one over on. But it feels like this window for the Wild is closing, and they've made some good draft picks, but I don't know if they'll be necessarily ready to use those guys this year. And I think the Wild it's going to be a rough year overall for the Wild. They're also still operating at a bit of a deficit in the fact that they've got $14 million in dead cap that they can't touch from buying out a couple of their stars from a couple seasons ago. And that's Zach and I talk about this a lot on this show, that the comparisons with other sports, most notably here in the US, of course, would be the NFL. And the NFL, all right, $14 million. All right. That's it's not chump change, but it's not, all right, boy, this is trouble. And the NHL, that's huge. That is a massive amount of money that you're missing out on. When the salary cap is only $82 million in the NHL, losing out on $14 million is a massive amount of money that's not available to you, that you cannot access because it's tied up in players that actively are no longer playing for your team. That's a problem. So I think Minnesota this season, I would not be surprised if we see a bit of a down year from the Wild this season. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest. A team that a lot of people are expecting great things of out of the division this year, as we head kind of out of the bottom and more towards the upper portion of the Central Division here on the Neutral Zone. The Nashville Predators. Smashville might be back. I don't know that it's necessarily going to look like it has in years past, but Smashville should be back. Oh, Jen, I failed you. I'm so sorry. Jen is doing an excellent job of keeping up with our colors. I should have given you the yellow color for Nashville, not the blue color. That is 100% on me. It still looks okay, but that is 100% on me. That Nashville yellow is such a great color. Nashville a season ago, 47-30-5, 99 points, good for 4th in the Central Division. They did make the playoffs. Some huge signings. Oh, there we go. Jen finding the cup. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. That is Predators to me. That is the Nashville color. That's the color as a Blackhawks fan I just hate seeing. I love picking on that color. Yeah, not letting Blackhawks fans into the arena because we outnumbered the Predators fans for so many years there. Am I bitter? No, not at all. Not at all. The Predators this season, though, they made the playoffs a season ago, and they made some massive moves in the offseason. Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault coming in on multi-year deals, and then also signing in Brady Skye as well on a 7-year deal. The Predators mean business this season. There's no doubt about that. The Predators are recognizing that their time is now, and they are going to try to make the most of it. Stamkos and Marchessault are big boy signings, are absolutely big boy signings for this roster, for this team. And of course, you've still got good play in net as well. So I would not be surprised at all to see the Predators this season. First of all, they absolutely should make the playoffs again. I don't think if I'm the Predators, I'd be disappointed at this point if they only make it in as a wild card team. I think they could be strong enough to get into the top 3 in this division. It would not shock me in the slightest at all with this team, with what the moves they've made. They did lose some pieces. Ryan McDonough is gone. Anthony Bolivar is no longer here, but I think the pluses outweigh the minuses on this. And I like Nashville. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them finish in the top 3 and solidly, convincingly be in the playoffs in the Central Division. Well, if they're finishing in the top 3, they didn't finish in the top 3 a year ago. That means somebody is going to have to be falling down a little bit. I think Winnipeg could be a team that has a little bit of a downfall. The Winnipeg Jets, they made the playoffs a season ago. Before getting bounced by Colorado. It felt to me the Jets overachieved last season, that they definitely were out in front of their skis a little bit. Some amazing goaltending from Connor Hellebuck, some absolutely out of this world play from Connor Hellebuck in net. And that went a long way. I mean, that goes a long way. The Jets a season ago, 52-24-6, 110 points before getting bounced in the first round by Colorado, finished second overall in the division. They lost some not insignificant pieces in this offseason too. Tyler Toffoli is gone. Sean Monahan is gone. Nate Schmidt. We talked about Leray Brossoit being gone. Some significant pieces to their success from a year ago are no longer going to be there. I heard an interesting nugget as I was getting ready for the show. I was driving home tonight. Connor Hellebuck, the last 2 seasons, has had a save percentage of above .920. Almost no goalies do that 3 years in a row. That is virtually unheard of, to have a save percentage of .920 or better 3 years in a row. So I think now, I think Hellebuck is good enough to do that. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a dip from him in that regard. Looking at something at more like a 915 or a 917. Heck, it wouldn't shock me if it was 919, to be honest, where it's one of those, well, it was technically below 920, but in all actuality, really what's that 1,000th of a percentage point amongst friends, So I wouldn't be shocked if there's a little bit of a drop off in net. I also wouldn't be surprised if Connor goes out and has like a 925. It would not shock me at all. What would shock me is if Winnipeg finishes second in the division. I do think I would expect them to have a little bit of a drop off from last season between, Nashville improving and heck, a team like Chicago improving. There could be some games that were wins a season ago that, oh, hey, we only beat Chicago 3 times instead of 4 or 5 times this season. That kind of result with Winnipeg this season. And that gets us then to the very top of the division. We will start with Colorado. The Avalanche, 50, 25, and 7 a season ago, 107 points. They were third in the division a season ago. They had some injury problems a year ago. And that's never good. That's always going to be a problem. When you've got significant guys hurt, it's hard to bounce back. And it's also hard to just repeat. It's just straight up hard to have those expectations and see those things as they were trying to get back to winning the cup as they had a few seasons ago. They're very tight up against the cap. So the moves that they made were pretty much all short 1 year, lower moves. Calvin DeHaan for a year, Eric Brandstrom for a year. You've still got strong net play. You still have Nathan McKinnon. I'm going to mispronounce their goalie's name, Grigayov. He's due for a bounce back. He had a rough season last season where he didn't even stop 90% of the shots he faced. I think he was finished with an 895 from a season ago. He's due for a little bit of a bounce back. But you still have McKinnon, you still have Makar, you still have Taves. You've got some strong players here. I fully expect Colorado to have a bounce back season. As much as you could, they finished third a season ago. It's not like they were bad by any means, but I would fully expect them to finish second in this division and have a playoff run in them. And that takes us then to the top of the division, the Dallas Stars. 52, 21, and 9 a season ago. They won the Central Division, 113 points. They made some moves. Brought back Matt Duchene for a year. Brought in Matt Dumba for a couple of years. Ilya Libshikin comes in for 3 years. They were busy. You do see Ryan Suter leave, Joe Pavelski leave, Scott, a few other players leave. Chris Tanev was not able to come back. This is going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, though. You still have Jake Ottinger making some terrific stops in net. You still have some of your top scoring available to you. I like the Stars. I like this team. I like them to go and make a run this season. I think not only will the Stars win the Central Division. I actually like the Stars to win the Western Conference. They came up just short a season ago against Edmonton. I would not be surprised if this year they're able to overcome it and find themselves in the Stanley Cup final, and we have yet another down south team vying for the Stanley Cup final. So I like the Stars out of the Central. We'll run through kind of my feelings on the division as a whole here. We've gone through all the teams. I like in order. I'll put Utah down at the bottom in 8th, the Blackhawks in 7th, and then we'll put the Wild in 6th. In 6th place there. St. Louis in 5th. We will put the Jets in 4th. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm flip-flopping on the fly here. We're going to have the Jets actually fall to 5th and the Blues in 4th, Predators 3rd, Avalanche 2nd, and the Stars winning the Central Division. Go ahead, mark it down, and I'm sure a few months from now you'll be able to throw that in my face and we'll all laugh about it and it'll be ridiculous. But that's the fun of making these predictions is, you put yourself out there and then you see what silliness actually comes to fruition. All right, we are going to take for ourselves a quick break. Going to check in with Zach, see if he's ready. If he's not, I'll guide you through the Pacific Division real fast. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Kernick here with you. Looks like Zach is a little detained here tonight, so I'm going to try to to guide you through the Pacific Division as we go here through and do our Western Conference preview show here tonight. Actually, real quick, I'll go ahead and stall for an extra 30 seconds. We'll pull up here and just see how things are going down in Florida with their banner raising ceremony night tonight. Well, it's still Panthers, very much Panthers, as we are halfway through the third period. The Panthers, Boston was on a power play to end the second period. That didn't go too terribly well. Instead, I did see that there was a Boston player that inadvertently slashed one of the referees and got a penalty for that. That's never good. Never hit one of the guys in stripes. That's just not a smart idea. And instead, Evan Rodriguez nets one for the Panthers. So it is 6-2 Florida as they are 9.5 minutes left to go in the third period. It certainly looks like the Panthers are going to celebrate their banner night in grand style, winning the game as well. So if you're a Panther fan, you are happy. Things are going well tonight for you. Let's quickly blast through this Pacific Division, shall we? So I had a little bit that I had read and prepped and gone through on the Pacific Division just to be safe. However, we'll go through things here. We'll start off with the San Jose Sharks. They, of course, won the draft lottery, finishing with the worst record in the NHL last season, and then the ping pong balls went their way. 1954-7, 47 points on the season. Yuck. A terrible, 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 terrible season, but it does mean that they got to draft Macklin Celebrini, number 1 overall. He will, of course, be out there for the Sharks when they get started with the season proper. Tyler Toffoli joins the club on a 4-year deal, along with Alexander Wenberg, Carl Granstrom, some of the other noticeable guys coming in. That the nice thing about being a Blackhawks fan is you could always turn and say, well, at least we're not the Sharks, because the Sharks were they were bad last season. Oh my goodness sake, they were bad a season ago. They should be better. I mean, bringing in Tyler Toffoli, that's going to help right out of the gate. Having a 30 goal scorer, somebody that can produce for you like that, that's going to help. I don't think it's going to be nearly enough, though, to make up the difference. I think the Sharks will still be in the bottom of the Pacific, and probably will be for a couple of seasons before they're able to really get out of that. So the Sharks finishing in 8th. Another team that will probably be not that far in front of them will be the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks were 27-50-9 a season ago, just a little bit better than San Jose, 7th overall in the Pacific. Brian Dumlin and Robbie Fabry come in this offseason. Jacob Silverberg did retire as well. Not a whole lot else going on with the Ducks. They're a young team. They Pat Veerbook, the general manager there, still putting things together, still working on assembling this roster, trying to have this be a a playoff contending roster, but still several years down the road yet really from that. This is a very young team. You never know with young teams. They might be able to do something. I'm not expecting much from the Ducks. They finished with what did I say? They finished with 59 points a season ago. That they're probably going to be right in that range, somewhere between 55 and 65 points. They'll take a couple of games that'll make you go, how did they win that one? And then they'll have some other ones that you'll just go, oh God, yeah, this is a young team. They don't do a whole. They're not going to win. They're not going to win a lot. So we'll put the Ducks in 7th. After that, got to break a little bit here. I know they played tonight, but we'll get to them in a little bit. The Calgary Flames. The Flames a season ago, 38, 39, and 5, 81 points. They were in 5th place in the Pacific Division, basically 500. That was basically about as mid as you could be. Was 38, 39, and 5, 1 point under 500. Bring in Anthony Mantha and Jake Bean. Jake Bean and Ryan Lomberg on a couple of year deals. Mantha comes in on just a 1-year deal. They lose Jacob Markstrom, Andrew Mangiapane, and Oliver Killington. I would expect a little bit of a step back from the Flames. They're not going to be all the way in the bottom of the division. You've got the Ducks and the Sharks for that to keep you from being all the way at the bottom. But this is a team that's probably still going to be closer to a rebuild than they are to a championship contender, which is a shame because it was only just a couple seasons ago that the Flames really looked like they could be in contention for something, but then shift and move in another direction. And that's where you are now. So I'm going to have the Flames in 6th. I'm going to put them in 6th place in the division. In 5th place, the team that played tonight, the Seattle Kraken. A season ago, they were 34, 35, and 13, also 81 points. A lot of overtime losses there for Seattle. If they can shore that up, that's part of why I think I could see them being a little bit better this season. That is a lot of overtime and shootout style losses. If you can turn, get the extra point in even just 5 or 6 of those, you're in contention for a playoff spot. You're talking, then that's 86, 87, 88 points. That's going to be enough to have you in that wild card conversation for the Kraken. Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour both signed mega 7-year long deals, worth $6 and $7 million annually a piece for those guys. That should bring in some wins. That should help bring in some. That should bring in some consistency. That should bring in some veteran presence. That should help them a little bit this season. Not a ton, but I think enough that we could see the Kraken finishing in 5th a little bit here. So we could see a little bit. Then we get into some of the bigger boys. We'll do the Los Angeles Kings next. I think the Kings in 4th place is a good spot for them. They were 3rd in the Pacific a season ago, 44, 27, and 11, 99 points overall, 3rd in the Pacific. They bring in Warren Fogle and Joel Edmondson on some multi-year deals. Darcy Kemper comes in as well as Tanner Jeannot. Some big departures, Victor Arvidsson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Cam Talbot, all gone. You've still got some of the big boys though. You've still got some of your big name, big time players in there for Los Angeles. We'll see what they can do. I think 4th place is very appropriate for the Kings as they get ready to, and I would not be surprised at all to see them in wildcard contention again this season. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest with what we've seen from them. Next, Vancouver, the Vancouver Canucks. This team came out of nowhere a season ago and went 50, 23, and 9, 109 points, and won the Pacific Division. For me, that was a who, what, huh? You'd have thought with a team that young too that it would have been all right. Hey, let's let the let's let these kids continue to grow, and let's add some pieces, but let's not go crazy here. Well, apparently Patrick Alvin, the Canucks general manager, didn't get that message. Some massive signing, Jake DeBrusk, a 7-year deal. Re-signed Dakota Joshua to a 4-year deal. Philip Hronik, an 8-year deal for the Vancouver Canucks. Danton Heinen on a multi-year deal. Kiefer Sherwood. These guys were busy. They were busy. Some good depth scoring as well as some bottom line scoring. I don't understand how I still really don't understand how the Canucks were able to win this division. I don't think they're quite that good. So I think they'll be a little behind that this season, but they absolutely should be a playoff team. I think third place is not inappropriate at all for this team headed into this season, to be expecting that from these young Canucks. In second place, a team that we're used to seeing and we've enjoyed seeing, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. 45-29-8 a season ago. They were in fourth in the Pacific. They bring in Tanner Leishniski on a couple-year deal, a couple of smaller deals otherwise. Victor Olofsson for a year, Ilya Samsonov for a year, Zach Aston Reese for a year. They lose Jonathan Marchessault. We talked about him earlier. Anthony Mantha, Chandler Stevenson is gone. That's the cap catching up to them a little bit there. You knew that eventually they were going to have to pay the piper a little bit on that. So you say goodbye to Jonathan Marchessault. You say goodbye to Chandler Stevenson. And Aston Reese now goes to Columbus. Thank you, Jen. This is still, I like Vegas though. I like the Canucks. I like who and what they are as a team. They can still score with anybody and everybody. And I still like them to have good results out in that Pacific Division. I would say second place is absolutely appropriate for them. You still have Jack Eichel. You still have Jack Eichel. You've got Barbashev. You've got quality players there, and you've still got Mark Stone. You've still got some big time guys in there on that team. I think second place is absolutely appropriate to expect out of Vegas this season. I know that Kale, the host of Sin City Sports, coming up right after us, will appreciate that. Though he might say I'm being too bearish on them, and that I need to think higher with them and have them winning the division. I can't have them winning the division because Edmonton is still in this division. The Edmonton Oilers, of course, the Stanley Cup final runner-up from a season ago, 49-27-6, 104 points, second place in the Pacific, though they did make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Some big moves for the Oilers. You saw them. Hello, Ralph Calise, hanging out with us in the chat room. Hello, Ralph. Glad to see you. They know that their window is shrinking in Edmonton, that this is basically it. So they push the chips all into the center. Victor Arvidsson comes in on a 2-year deal. Josh Brown on a 3-year deal. Resign Adam Henrique and Matthias Janmark. You bring in Jeff Skinner. You are going to do everything you can to take advantage of this window before you have to start paying some of those big boys. Your McDavids, your Oliver Ekman-Larssons, and the such. Managed to hang on to Adam Henrique, Janmark. Also, Corey Perry was somebody that they managed to hang on to. I like Edmonton. I mean, as long as you've got McDavid, you've got as long as you've got those guys, that they are going to be in contention. They are going to be one of the top teams. I would expect the Oilers to win the Pacific. I think it's going to come down to the Oilers and the Stars in the Western Conference Final. This year, I have the Stars edging them out, though. So I do think ultimately in Edmonton, it'll end in disappointment, but do not count them out. They are absolutely one of the best teams in all of hockey, and absolutely the expectation should be the Western Conference Finals, I would say, at a bare minimum for this team. Of course, everything, assuming health. That is going to do it for our show here tonight. We'll take, one more quick look at that score out in Florida real quick before we officially wrap things up. Let's see. With 3 minutes and change left to go, Florida is up on Boston 6-2. So with 3 minutes left to go in that game, I'm more than happy to call that one. And with that, we shall sound the horn. That will do it for our Western Conference preview show. Thank you. Some big shout outs and thank yous. Thank you once again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. You find them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. You place your orders by going to planetjerky.net. I would personally recommend the volcanic jalapeno. Just the right amount of kick there while still having flavor and not burning your mouth off. They can burn your mouth off too. They got Carolina Reaper, or they've got whatever your palate is, they've got something for you. Check them out, planetjerky.net. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Thank you also to Steal the Deal Wax Deals by Cecilia B. Follow them on Instagram at Steal the Deal, _wax seals. You can also place your orders by going to iesportsradio.com, Seal the Deal, Wax Seals. While you're at iesportsradio.com, check out the website. You can learn about all the shows here on the network, including this one, iesportsradio.com/The Neutral Zone. You can find about all the other shows on the network, from the show of the land with GNB, the Winter Report, my other show, Chi-Town Weekly, all the shows, all the schedules right there for you on iesportsradio.com. Thank you to Larry B, the star and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for providing us with the platform. Thank you, Jen B, for producing here tonight, keeping up with all the palette changes that were going on, some of them literally on the fly during the show. So thank you for that. It is very much appreciated. A lot of people running my mouth off as we did this. Finally, thank you for listening. Whether this was your introduction to the show or if you've been listening for multiple seasons now, thank you for being here. Let your friends know. We'll listen live on Tuesday night. You can watch and listen along on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or if you're not able to listen on Tuesday, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find the show. Just search The Neutral Zone. For Zach Puffless, I am Adam Karnick. Together, we are The Neutral Zone. We will see you next week. Until then, be safe, be good, light the lamp, protect the 5-hole, and as always, stay on that pedal dodge. We'll see you next week, folks.